So we've got our final member of the triumvirate who have been organising this conference, and also co-author with Ron of the recent Bonnie Bridge book that we just saw a quick advert for a moment ago. Malcolm Robinson is the founder of Strange Phenomena Investigations in 1979. He's also an author and lecturer. His books include UFO Case Files of Scotland 1 and 2, Paranormal Case Files of Great Britain 1 and 2, and 3 and 4, and Monsters of Loch Ness, and of course the recent Bonnie Bridge book, which is still available. Get it autographed while you can. Malcolm's appeared on radio and TV, as well as giving numerous lectures on various paranormal topics. He's also an editor with How to Limits magazine. If you don't know that, look it up online. It's an online magazine. You can download the PDF. It's fairly easy to find, and the subscription details are available. So Malcolm's talk for us today is alien entity sightings from around the world. So ladies and gentlemen, Malcolm Robinson.
Thank you. It's a lovely guy, isn't it? Thank you very much, Robert. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming out on a horrible, dismal day here in Glasgow. And it's been a great turnout. We've got people up the stair, absolutely fantastic. Anybody that knows me knows I'll talk forever. So I'm going to try and go through this slides as much as I can. So, SPI, who are we? Hands up who is in this audience and don't know who SPI is. Put your hands up, wave them about. Hardly anybody, well, a couple. Okay, so here's just a few things. Whenever I give a talk, I always like to inform the audience a wee bit about who we are and stuff. Well, the aims of SPI, Strange Phenomena Investigations, are to collect, research and publish accounts relating to most aspects of strange phenomena, and to purposely endeavour to come up with some answers to account for what at present eludes us. I'm the first Scotsman to lecture on UFOs in Lachlan, Nevada, also Ireland, Galway, Carrick and Shannon, Strasbourg in France, Utrecht in Holland, and I'm one of the few guys in the world who have gone down in the murky depths, the Loch Ness submarine, and that's another one of my lectures. I love talking about this, I absolutely love it. Author of 13 books. I'm diligently working on my 14th book, which is going to be called UFO Case Files of Great Britain, so look out for that. Anybody that knows me knows I started off, what a load of rubbish. There's no such things as ghosts and UFOs. Oh, come on, behave yourself. It's like anything else in life. Once you put yourself in that ballpark, once you physically get your face slapped in the heel tube by nothing, that's when you come off the proverbial sceptical fence. And I think we've got the Glasgow Skeptic Societies in there, guys. Where are you? Put your hands up. I don't know what they do that. Okay, fair enough. So, I was a skeptic. I'm not a skeptic now. So, before we begin, this talk presumes, right? It presumes that we have alien life forms interacting with us. The following slides show, firstly, how the media portray the subject. We'll then look at some so-called UFO alien cases from Europe, the United Kingdom, some of which will tax your minds because they're bloody crazy, stupid. So, what does an alien look like? Well, this is obviously the main interpretation from the media, that this is what the supposable wee green man syndrome. That's what they're trying to think, but they're nothing like that. Of course, anybody that's seen these things, the abductees, etc. Very, very few signs there. That's just the media for me to say that. We've always had, mankind is a funny beast, we've always had this fascination for all things weird and wonderful, and life in space. But the question is, are aliens really and truly out there? Well, we'll have a look at that. First of all, before we get into the talk proper, let's have a wee look, shall we, about Hollywood, how Hollywood depict aliens on screen. First of all, I'm over the age when I loved all these B-movies, these science fiction, The Day the Earth Stood Still. Wow, these are the kind of fuel for the fire for me as a young kid. And also The Day the Earth Stood Still, that was another massive movie as well, 1951, Gort the Robot coming out, wonderful movie. Then you started to get movies about they're here to harm you, they're here to kill you, they're here to eat you. And that's how they portrayed them. The invaders from Mars, etc. You know. Then it came from outer space. So back in the 50s, these movies are generating this kind of fear factor of trying to get people to realise what's going on here. One of the big movies from 1953, The War of the Worlds. What a great movie that was. Thoroughly enjoyed that one. But again, it's out to destroy mankind. I actually prefer the remake. I really do think the Tom Cruise movie is absolutely wonderful. But that's just me. So the theme of these and the following movies all show that the aliens do not have our interest at heart. More so, Target Earth from 1954. Again, they're coming to subdue mankind, etc. We also have This Island Earth from 1955. And Hollywood loved this. Hollywood loved to put this fear factor into the populace, etc. And who can forget Robin and the Robot's first movie appearance in The Forbidden Planet? That was a wonderful movie as well. And then you have the Earth versus the Flying Saucers. Again, the same genre. Again, the same kind of trying to get to you. The Invasion of the Body Snatchers as well. So obviously things have moved on from there. But we've got the Invasion of the Saucer Men from 1957, the year that I was born. I know I don't look old enough. Who said that? Who said that? You're actually quite right, by the way. Independence Day, that's another big movie. So again, the reason we're showing you this is just to show you how the movie people portrayed this subject in the movies. And of course, you've got your friendly alien like E.T. But it's not just movies, it's also Lost in Space. It ran from 65 to 1968. And that's a wonderful series as well. I've got every single episode in a box set. Yes, I know I'm very sad. And it's just great how they portray that. And who could forget hiding behind the sofa in the 60s when the Daleks came in? You were hiding behind the sofa. They couldn't get up the stairs at that time, by the way. You know, they do now. But again, this is just the space theme, the science fiction theme, coming into your genre. Then we have Spock. Can anybody do that? I can see you're trying to do that. Yeah, some of you can do that. Yeah, as long as everybody do that. So we have to ask, have aliens always been with us throughout the ages? And if so, in different guises, as Ron Halliday and Sasha Christie mentioned as well. So in effect, are today's alien creatures yesterday's elementals and fairies, as Ron said? Because, as Ron Halliday said, he's quite right, people have been seeing strange creatures throughout time immemorial. Are they really truly seen this? Are they making it up? Is it folklore? Is it gone into mythology? Probably. A lot of it may be. Absolutely. The leprechauns of Ireland. You know, there's a big, big story about the leprechauns in Ireland. This wee guy likes SBI, by the way. And the trolls of Norway. So where I'm going now is to show you about all these elementals and these so-called fairies. Are they yesterday's aliens in a different guise? Then we have the different type of alien entities being reported today. The most consistent one is, of course, the Greys. Anybody that's not aware of the Greys, just put your hands up, don't be shy. Don't you? Stephen Burt, So, the Greys are generally about 3.5, 4 feet tall, grey-blue translucent skin, black wraparound, dark almond-shaped eyes. And these are quite consistent with some of the low-level close proximity cases and, sadly, the abduction cases that we have 10 a penny these days, which is very, very sad. Right, David Icke. I'll often get asked, Malcolm, has any reptilian creatures been seen in Scotland? Or, as far as I know, no. Unless anybody's sitting in the audience who can tell me different. In Scotland, the cases I've been dealing with since 1979 is just small greys. And but David Icke was talking about these reptilian creatures way back, and he got laughed out of court. I can't say with any sincerity if these creatures are real, because we as a society at SPI have never researched these cases. And I mean, obviously they're not very nice looking, these characters, like lizard type men, and they've been seen substantially across North America. And again, whether these cases are true, we have to remember we are dealing with man's incredulity in the sense that people may be making things up. As a researcher, I started off to disprove this subject, as I said earlier on. Not now. The weight of evidence when you physically look at the evidence is overwhelming. So, we've got these wee guys. This is what people claim to have seen, the chupacabra, the grey, etc. They look a strange bunch, eh? It's like some of the football players for Heart of Midlothian. Did I say that? Sorry, Hearts fans, if you're in there. But as I think Ron Halliday showed a slide similar to this, again you've got all these wee grey creatures, etc. Very funny looking wee characters. What's going on here? What's going on? Is it the real deal? Or is it just people just make believe, you know? You've got the Nordics who were seen back in the 50s as well, in the 60s, these blonde-haired Scandinavian type guys who were seen quite a lot. Where are they now? Where are they now? Then we have the star children. Now, basically what we're talking about here is walk-ins. I know it sounds bizarre, of course it is. God, I hear so many crazy stories. These walk-ins, people taking over their body. There's a lady in Scotland, I won't name her, but she's a lovely girl. And she says, I don't belong here. This is not my home. My home is elsewhere. And yet she's sound as a pound. But there's a lot of people the world over who feel that genetically they don't belong on this planet. It sounds stupid, it sounds crazy. And who are we to say that? We laughed at Marconi, we laughed at John Logie Baird, inventor of television. That'll never work. We laughed at the Wright brothers. First flight at Kitty Hawk, that'll never get off the ground. Oh, sorry, it's got off the ground. The point I'm trying to make is people tend to laugh and poke fun just because something looks ridiculous. It shouldn't be like that. It should never be like that. Crazy. And then we have the hybrid children. I could be talking all day about this. I've spoken to a lady, a female abductee, and she says, Malcolm, I was taken on board a craft and was shown this hideous half-alien, half-human child, and telepathically, it's yours, it belongs to you, that's part of you. She said, Malcolm, it's horrible. Scrappy hair, thin hair. And I know this sounds crazy. For anybody coming to a conference today for the first time ever, there might be a few of you, you're sitting here, I'll go along to that thing in Glasgow, and yeah, it's something that you might find crazy, but this is consistent with what people have been saying the world over with these hybrid children. What bloody annoys me is the UFO abductions. Really annoy me. For a whole range of reasons, which I'll be here all day talking about. We'll maybe do that shortly. Then let's look at some of the strange alien entity cases, so we'll start off with Europe. There's a number of so-called entity cases, and I'd be here all day telling you about all these cases, so I've only comprised a few cases. This one here was quite famous, Kelly Hopkinsville, 1955, and it's one of the most bizarre cases you'll get in the annals of ufology. For those who don't know, it says here, August 21st, 1955, 5 adults, 7 children arrived at the Hopkinsville police station, and they said that small alien creatures were attacking their farmhouse. What? They were attacking their farmhouse for nearly 4 hours. 2 of the adults, Elmer Sutton, Billy Ray Taylor, claimed that they had been shooting, they had the shotguns, shooting these wee guys for about a few hours anyway. They were popping up at the windows, they were on the roof, etc. Absolutely crazy. This is the type of creature that was noted at Hopkinsville in Kentucky. Little dwarf-like creature, not exactly like a grey because you've got the ears, but certainly something different. And this terrified the family. Why would you go to the police station if you were making it up? I'm not to say they're not making it up. It seems bizarre if you want to just do that. And this is an illustration done by them. Can you imagine it? Okay, this is a farmhouse, it's out in the sticks. But can you imagine this in your own house, wherever you may live in Glasgow, or wherever you come from, and you see something like that on your roof? It's perplexing to say the least. Needless to say, it made massive news, not just in Kelly Hopkinsville, Kentucky itself. It went right across Europe and right across the world as well. That's a photograph, Billy Ray Sutton, I believe, looking up. There he is there, yeah. Just posing for the local journalist with his gun with these creatures who were up on his roof there. Again, there's so many alleged alien photographs. Before I show you a couple, I've said this a million times, I'll say it again, we're living in the Steven Spielberg age of DreamWorks laboratory, where anything can be manipulated onto a computer to look like a ghost, to look like a UFO. Thankfully, the same technology can be applied to take apart, well, that's just a wee thin line, a UFO hanging from a tree, so the same technology works both ways, but it's getting ever so difficult with all these apps on your phone, etc. This one comes from Italy, and the chap who took this photograph, again, you're dealing with witness testimony, sometimes with photographs. He was there to take a photograph of this family tombstone, and what does he get in the background? One of these spindly little grey guys has been seen in close proximity with UFO sightings. Then we have this one, an alleged non-human caught on film in Chile. So here's the facts. Let's get the facts out the road first. May 10th, 2004, the witness was at Parque Forestal, Santiago, Chile, and he took some photographs, which you'll see in a moment, and he downloaded these photographs to his computer the following day. It was pre-digital. Well, on that occasion, still had it in 2004. So the reason he was taking photographs, he thought it would be interesting to take photographs of the policemen on horseback in this area. And it was taken at 5:40 p.m. from the corner of Gem de la Barra and Avenue Cardinal Jose Maria Caro in front of Bella Bellas Artes, looking east. I'm glad I got that out of the road. And so this is the area, so you're going to see the photograph in a minute. So I'm not sure which one of these avenues the guy was taking a photograph. The police officer, you'll see in a moment, was in one of these avenues. So that's the scene, that's the picture. This is the camera he was using. His testimony was, it was a cloudy day, the sun was hidden, for which reason my digital camera, Kodak, was adjusted to a low speed 110. This is the reason why the photograph shows motion. You will see it's a little blurry, you'll see that. And used an optical zoom, etc., etc. But that's a camera that he used. And he further says, I attest to the fact that the photograph is not a fraud. For this reason, have made it public. I would like to know if anyone has ever caught anything similar in a photograph before. Now, after this case, you'll see a similar creature. So yes, they have, but we'll come to that. Now, here is the photograph. It is a bit blurry. Here is the photograph, and if you can see this wee fella here, right? He looks like a typical grey. He's this small, spindly, large head, wee body, arms, legs. But could it not just be pareidolia? Could it not just be simulacrum? Some of you will be going, what's he on about, simulacrum? What's that? It's the human brain is hardwired to make sense out of nonsense. You know, if you look at the sky, oh, that looks like a horse's head, or this looks, you'll maybe see these patterns in your curtains, in your carpet. Oh, I see a face. It's called pareidolia. Is this pareidolia where it's just the leaves combining to, and even I'm a believer, I've got to say this, is it the leaves that's doing that? You can see them better when we enlarge the photograph. You can partly see the head, the body, the arm is swinging out, the legs there. He never saw this at the time. And it's the same way ghostly photographs. You'll take a photograph and go, here, what's that in the background? It can work the other way. You can see a ghostly, oh my God, take a photo, and nothing comes up, nothing comes out of your photograph. It works both ways. Just an enlargement of that again, the body, the legs, the arm. What's going on here? What is going on? And that's it again, the wee fella. And even if it wasn't a grey or something, what's he doing there? What is he doing there walking between two police officers on horseback? Who knows? I mentioned the similarities. So could the small creature seen on the previous slide be what's known as a Dover demon? Now, assuming this one that you're going to see in a moment is not a hoax or some form of film defect, which does happen, this was the name given to a creature seen by several witnesses in Dover, Massachusetts in 1977, before we get to the reserve. So you've got this wee creature, very, very similar, that was seen in Chile as well, this little guy. Imagine that walking out in your living room on a Wednesday night. So let's have a look at some facts in the Dover Demon. It was sighted in April 77. Three 17-year-olds were driving home through the Boston suburbs of the Dover area, which is that. This is the suburbs. The driver, Bill Bartlett, reported seeing what he thought was a dog or a cat, but a few seconds later it turned out to be an unearthly looking creature. He watched it, which he said had a large melon-shaped head, two very distinct red eyes. Its body was thin and spindly and completely hairless. It had long, thin toes, fingers, and seemed to be using them to grasp onto the pavement. And this is a sketch that he did. And a few hours later, and over a mile away, John Baxter, a totally different guy, was walking home when he met the same or similar creature walking along a path. Again, I know we're dealing with witness testimony. Is it true? Is it not true? Why should it not be true? It could be true. And the following day, somebody else, Abby Brabham, saw a similar looking creature on the side of the road as she drove past. So what did they say? What did these people actually say? Could it be some form of undiscovered new species, a genetic mutation of some sort, a hybrid for want of a better word? Or could it be some form of alien being? Speculation. Who knows? Speculation. And this is why I love coming to speak at this conference, because I just like to let you see what people have been seeing and reporting over the years. So, jelly demon, is it the same or a different creature? If it is indeed a creature, is it the same or different? Here's another one, very, very similar to the two photographs that you saw a moment ago. 19th of March 2011, Preston, UK. It has similarities, not the best of photographs. It has similarities to the previous photographs you just saw. Story goes, the guy was in his back garden and he was taking before and after photographs of his garden. So, my garden's a mess, let's take a photograph. When it was all done and nice, let's take a photograph now. So it was before and after. This is a before one. And he claims to have seen this wee alien creature walking into the photograph. It's not the best of photographs. There it's there, but look at that. Would you not say that is similar to the Dover Demon, the Chile Demon? Do we take the witness and his photograph verbatim for testimony, or do we not? This is why we bring these photographs in these cases to you lovely people here in Glasgow. Same gait, same walking gait, spindly body, large head, etc. And like any photographs, you don't try and manipulate it, you don't try and do something, you just try to say, well, can I enhance it and make it any better so I can see it better, which has been done by a lovely guy called Jason Gleaves, who does the artwork for my books and other people as well. So you've got the Dover Demon, 77, Chile Demon, 2004, and you've got the Preston Demon, 2011. What's going on here? Same or not the same, or whatever. Make up your own minds. So it moves on to England and Wales. And there's so many cases I could talk about in England and Wales, but let's give you this one. The Ulclamore alien. Story goes, a retired police officer claims he was abducted by aliens while on a morning walk over Ulclamore in Yorkshire, and he was briefly held under craft before being returned to the moor. It sounds stupid, it does. But should we really be saying that? Do we throw the baby out with the bathwater? Because, like I said before, just because something sounds ridiculous, does it need to say that it is so? So this is the area where he was walking up the moors at Ilkley in Yorkshire, and he claims he actually saw a craft, and he was abducted by this small creature, which, fingers crossed, you'll see. It's not the best of photographs, as you probably can see, so, or not see, as the case may be. But it's the same wee guy, the same wee spindly wee character, and he just knew, this wee fella doesn't look right, this wee guy doesn't look right, I'm going to take a photograph of him, which he did do, but afterwards he claims he was abducted and stuff like that, and it's like anything else in testimony. When myself or Ron or any other researchers talk to a witness, police officers lie, everybody lies. Are they telling the truth? What are they trying to gain? They get 5 minutes of fame? A lot of people who talk to me say, Mark, I just want to tell you the story. My husband doesn't believe us, but I hope to tell you. And I've not got the answers. I've been in this field since 1979. Do I have the answers? I have more speculations than answers. I don't have the answers. Plenty of speculations. And again, it made all the Yorkshire newspapers, etc., all over the place. And then we have, and Brian, you know where I'm going with this one. Can people change into aliens? Oh, what's he talking about now, the problem? So where's he going with this? Good friend of mine, bless you, Brian. Okay, let's tell this story. May the 4th, 1993, a good friend of mine is in spirit now, Brian McMillan Senior. I've got his family sitting down here, they know where I'm going with the story, they've seen this slide before. Salted Earth, Glasgow guy, a spade's a spade. And he saw something very bizarre. These guys, Brian's a drummer, Rock Group C4, there he's there. That's the wee stage aliens they have on stage. They played at Falkirk Town Hall with me back in the day, in Bonnybridge days. And this is on the campuses, I believe, is that right, Brian? And so they write and perform music about UFOs, whereas I write about it. They go on stage and they play it. It's wonderful, it's great, fantastic. Go to their website. So, Brian McMullen, Senior, that's young Brian there, went down to see a guy called Freddie France. And when they went, and that's Freddie France's girlfriend, and we come to her in a moment. Very, very strange guy, Freddie France. So, the following slides are a recreation. So they're not, this is not a real photograph. Part of it is just painted in. A recreation of what happened that day. They were in Reading Town Centre to get batteries for their cameras. Right, let's go to Reading Town Centre, get the batteries. And Boots the Chemist, I think it was. Went to the Boots the Chemist, came out, and as he came out, there was a guy holding the door, and Robert France went out the door. Well, this happened. Before we go there, this is the Reading Town Centre. I believe Boots is up here somewhere, is that right? And so this is a recreation of that photograph. This is Freddie France there. Forget that guy's name. Do you know who he is? Clive Potter. Aye. So this is what happened. Staunch Glasgow guy, a spade, you won't kick me. Suddenly, Robert France did this. This is a recreation. He came down in size, he dropped down in size and moved to the left. He was changing. He was changing into one of these small grey beings. I know it sounds daft. And he suddenly went like that. And it was like everybody in the street was like that. It's some a sci-fi documentary or something like that. You know, the Twilight. Everybody's just frozen. And he went like this. Boom, 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 boom. And then he came back up again. Just go through that again, I'll tell you what happens. So he's opening the door, Clive Potter's opening the door, Freddie France is going in there. No Freddie France, Robert France. Robert France. Freddie France is a different case. Scrub that out. So he's going out the door, changes down, and Brian McMullen, Brian's stunned. Come here. Oh, come here. How did you do that, mate? What? How did you do that? I take it you saw something, Brian. Bloody right, I did. And he says, I can't help it. Sometimes I feel pins and needles all over my body, like static electricity, and I know something's going to happen. I know it sounds bizarre, but that's what he said. So the more to the story, and this is up here. We did a live TV show for Grampian Television, I think it was, wasn't it? And that's another story, it was great. We were on live television all over Scotland, all over radio, and we won, We the Jury it was called, and we won by 9 votes to 3. All the ufologists and the experiencers were on that side of the court. All your astronomers and professors were on that side of the court. It was a great night. Anyway, but a good, you'll find it on YouTube. So, Robert France, there he's there. His girlfriend, Sheila Yeoman, she said, this is her testimony, one night in 1991, Robert showed me exactly what he is. As I got into bed, Robert sat on the edge of the bed and kissed me goodnight. He then pulled his face back a few inches from me, and almost immediately I saw a mistiness emanate from his left eye that began to coat his face. It was like a very bright, wriggly tadpole. His face seemed brilliant and alive, a true transfiguration if ever I have seen one. The whole shape of his face began to change. His nose became almost a beak. I was not worried about this at all. I was fascinated. I was just inches away looking at what Robert claimed was his true self, getting back to walkings and stuff like that. And then she said, "You're changing, do you know that?" And he didn't answer, but his alien head gave a slight nod. So does this really happen? Does this really happen? Can people change into... There's so many stories when you look about it, and the true stories. So there's so many cases of people changing, not just here in the United Kingdom, but all over the world as well. And this is why we love this subject so much, because it's bloody crazy. It really is. So yeah, I think this is you ready for this one? You're sitting nice, comfortable, yeah? Okay, here we go, because this is a bit bizarre. This is bizarre. Right, here we are, Brightlingsea, Colchester, England. I got a phone call from this guy, and he told me a story that made me almost fall out of the chair, and then he sent me the photograph. The photograph looks fake, the photograph looks crap. But I show it to you lovely people today for your interpretation. Story, photograph. For anybody that doesn't know where Colchester is, it's showing the map. And so here's his story. He said that he was getting ready to visit his wife in the hospital. And as he reached down to get his car keys off a table in the living room, he felt something brush by him, but nobody was there. This is his testimony. What was that? And I know it sounds daft, but he knew something mysterious was happening. So he grabbed his camera and took a photograph. And this is what it doesn't look very great, but here we go. There we go. This is the photograph he claims to have taken, right? Something brushed by him, grabbed his camera, and it looks fake as the day is long. Even I accept that. But it's my job and the team in SPI to have a good look at all these photographs and find out what's going on here. So obviously when you enlarge it and you colour contour it and stuff, what's going on here? Is this a guy shape-shifting himself? Is his body shape-shifting into something else? This is why you people here are sitting on your backside here today, because you love this subject, you want to know more, and you know that the whole subject's crazy. And yes, they're skeptics, of course, yeah, I was a skeptic at once. But when we enhance it with different kind of colour tones and stuff, just to see if we can see anything different, that's what comes up. Very bizarre, very muscular shoulders, and he had no reason, well, maybe he did. I only talked to him on the phone, but he was convincing as the day is long, for sure. Strange looking creature, if it is indeed. But again, you get these apps, you can get anything to place on your photograph, I'm well aware of that. And, but who knows. There was a big flap of UFOs in Wales in 1977. I went down in 1980 to reinvestigate the claims of the Welsh people regarding these sightings. And I spoke to, she's passed on to Spirit as well, Rosa Granville. She owned the Haven Fort Hotel on the cliffs at near Broadhaven there. And there was a wee programme on the television about this recently. Anyway, I met her and we had a great discussion. What she said was that two men in black, for those in the audience that's not aware of that, these guys dressed in black trousers, white shirt, black tie, black jacket, black trilby hat, allegedly, or they used to, don't know so much now, come to people who've seen UFOs and say, you never talk about that. They're probably just CIA or military people, but why would they want to do that anyway? But when you look at the UFO law, there's a lot of cases of men in black, hence the movie, etc. So she opened the door, and these guys are standing there. Yes, what do you want? We have come to see Pauline Coombs. We're talking gutturally, we're talking mechanically. She says, Malcolm, their faces were like a China doll, they were like wax, and they couldn't speak right. And they were dressed in all this attire. And Pauline Coombs stayed at Ripperston Farm, which is in the Broadhaven, Milford Haven, Welsh Triangle, so called. And Pauline Coombs has seen a lot of stuff as well. Check it out, Ripperston Farm, Welsh Triangle by Peter Paget. I don't know where Pauline is. Okay, we will come back another day. And they turned round and she says they went into this futuristic car, it had no wheels. And she says the best it is, We have a stone driveway, and I never heard the crunch of the stone as people walking up. And the thing is, this is Stax Rocks, and anybody knows the Welsh phenomenon. Allegedly, a lot of UFOs were seen coming into the sea and coming out of the sea. A lot of these UFO reports come from Puerto Rico as well, on the island of Puerto Rico. UFOs are not specifically and always seen in the skies, they're seen in the seas of this world as well, which is, you have to bear in mind. Some of the books I mentioned, the David Enigma, I've spoke to Randall Jones Pugh, he's dead now. He believes in later life it was all demonic. He felt it was all demonic and burned all his books. That book there, that's the book about the Ripperson Farm, the events here, so try and check this out. Here's another one. Here's another one that's going to blow your mind, hopefully. See if you're ready for this one. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Right, okay, so I could have not spoke about this silly story, the Mince Pie March, and I could have kicked it in the toss and said, no, but I want to show you how bizarre this subject is. Do I believe this case? The women involved believed it. 1979, Jean Hingley encountered glowing winged beings into her home in Rowley Regis in West Midlands. And this is kind of a bizarre story. So, here's what happened. Morning, 4th of January 1979, having seen her husband off to work, she noticed a distinct orange light in her snow-covered garden and decided to open the back door. What's this orange light? What's going on here? She was astonished to see what she describes as 3 glowing beings with small wings float past her and come into the house, making noises she described, it sounds bizarre, ZZ, as they moved around their kitchen. And this is such a crazy subject. So, some of the strange effects on this case was that Jean's dog Hobo appeared paralysed and started to sway, raised his fur and fainted. Jean herself at certain points felt paralysed. Jean felt herself floating into the lounge where a bright light blinded her. The family Christmas tree stood in the lounge and it was shaking of its own volition. This is getting even worse. The being said that they came from the sky and meant her no harm. Here, would you like some mince pies? He wants some mince pies. A wee glass of water. Crazy, isn't it? After which Jean lit a cigarette, which terrified these wee guys. Terrified them all. And they fled, of course, take mince pies with them. Don't want to be here, you know. Take them away. So she described them as small and slim. They had thin mouths, black eyes, were around 3.5, 4 feet tall. They lacked eyebrows, ears and noses. Their clothing were waistcoats, getting back to all the fairy lore that Ron Halliday mentioned. And they had silver buttons, their heads were covered in little silver caps. Yeah, sounds like an old 1920s, 30s fairy. Then she told the creatures to stop bouncing on the furniture. Get off my furniture, at which they responded, turning up a painful and paralysing light. The creatures revealed that they had a familiarity with Christmas, the Queen, and knew about Jesus Christ, telling Jean, there is only one Lord. It gets worse. Incredibly, during the conversation, they revealed these wee guys flying from Mars and women might be, oh, here, we like Tommy Steele with that Bruce Forsyth. He's got a nice catchphrase, you know. Nice to see you. Did you know this? Yeah, as I say, I didn't need to talk about this case because it puts this subject in a bad light. But I had to tell you because it's part and parcel of the whole shebang, the ufology. So Jean had had enough. She gave chase and arrived in the garden to see them leaving in a 10-foot long egg-shaped craft, which you see here. That's what she described. And it just disappeared and was gone. Out of shot. These are the marks on the ground. It was a snowy back garden, so these impressions are on the snow in the back garden. And why did she not take a photograph? I think she did actually. Don't think I've got it here. Anyway, after effects. Jean suffered. She needed to wear dark glasses. She had after exposure to bright lights that the beings fired at her. So this bright light really done something to her eyes. Electronic devices, including her television, were impacted to the point that it refused to work. Cassette tapes touched by the creatures were wiped clean. All bizarre stuff. So what might make it all? Was she delusional? Was it some form of medical episode? Was she on some type of medication? We asked witnesses in their cases, excuse me, madam, yes? You on any medication that may cause you to see a ghost? What? What are you asking that question for? We're going to ask that question. That's what we do. Was she making it up? And if so, what was she hoping to get out of the story? And she just believes it. She believes it. So let's look at some Scottish cases. The strange creature in the trees is at Newton Grange. The witness said that myself, my sister Jill, my friend Mary Burrell, Pamela Pollock, Shelley Connolly were walking my dog Tanya down an old disused railway track at the bottom of Suttlesea when my dog started going crazy, barking like mad. She was always a placid dog. I remember we looked up to a tree and there was a strange being with very bright yellow eyes with no pupil. It had pointed ears and I don't remember much else about its features except the body. It did look tall. We all knew instantly that this thing was not from our world. These women were featured in the Daily Record and other newspapers fairly recently about this particular case. It spoke in a vibrating, synthesised voice, although I don't remember its mouth moving. We heard what it said was, "Do not be afraid. We will not harm you." We were frozen in fear. The next thing I remember was all of us standing in a field away from the old railway track, and even as kids, this is when they were 8 years of age, we instinctively knew never to talk about what it was that they have now. In the past few years, I reached out to the other girls that were there and simply asked, do you remember what happened at the old railway track? And each of them said yes, they've never forgotten those eyes. She also said that a couple of years later, she started to have what's known as night terrors. She's been experiencing the same thing overnight throughout her whole life, and this took her to a dark place. She also said that my mother, when she was alive, witnessed this going on and said I was pulling the curtains down, pushing at walls. My daughters have always also witnessed me doing the exact same thing, screaming for help, etc. And she said that the closest thing that she can recall that looked like it was the Kerry Hopkinsville, Kentucky creatures. And yeah, I mean, nobody's a great artist at drawings. I'm certainly not. That wasn't me, by the way. I'm not Van Gogh. But, and this is one of their drawings, bless her. And so they're just kids. They look up in the tree and see this strange creature. Weird. This is some of the witnesses' drawings, you know. They were highlighting the yellow eyes, etc. This is the area in Suttlesea as well. That's a tree. It's obviously grown up since then. And this is a wee fella here that they claim to have seen something similar to that Kelly Hopkinsville, Kentucky goblin that we got here. That's the ladies themselves. They're not here, I think. Are they here? No. Okay. And Declan Woods. I wrote a book about the Bob Taylor case. That's not part of my talk today. The reason we're talking about Declan Woods today, however, is, and I think Ron Halliday mentioned it, yes, I'm sure he did. That's maybe Bob Taylor. The witnesses saw a craft in the woods back in 1979, but we're not here to talk about that today. We're here to talk about something somebody saw. Somebody saw something in Declan Woods. Right, so his statement was, in the middle of November 2021, about 9 o'clock, my neighbour and I went up to Declan Woods with my huskies. And it was at the start of the woods, and as soon as we walked in, my dog's got a scent of something. This is a true photograph of his husky dogs there. And so that's where they were in Declan Woods, near Livingston Newtown, and that's where the Declan Woods incident happened, just there. So it's still part of Declan Woods. He said, as the dogs were sniffing about, I saw a streak of light about 100, 150 metres in front of me go across the path and back into the woods. And I said to my pal, something's just went through the woods there. And then he says, I shined my torch, and in the torchlight I saw big orange eyes staring back at us, which I thought initially might have been a deer, but most wild animals run a mile when they're near a pack of dogs. Remember, he's got his huskies there. I kept shining my torch, walking towards it. Now remember, I've got 5 big huskies, and this thing stood up, stood its ground parallel with me, and I was mesmerised. I was mesmerised by its big orange staring eyes. This was not a deer. It was a foot away from me. I was standing looking at it. It was 6 feet tall, a dog-like face. Ron Halliday mentioned about the dog man and stuff. And more of a beak like a mouth. And I says, you're no deer. Can you imagine you walking your dogs and his dogs were backing away? He said, Malcolm, my dogs are no frightened of anything, honestly. And his pal said, what the F is that? And both of them headed it back down the path, and it was still standing there. It was all black, so black fur, etc. And the funny thing is, he said it never made a noise. And he grew up on a farm, he knows all the animal sounds, and he's seen a lot of strange stuff, but he says, my dogs would not go near it, and they never get frightened. And because we're talking about alien sightings and wee guys and this and that and the other, very briefly, we have the Falkland Hill. It's not a case I'm going into, it's the Falkland Hill event out in the Falklands in Fife. This part is only to deal with what some of the witnesses said. So me, Billy Devlin and some other researchers were interviewing the witness, and the wee boy, "Good minute, Robinson." "Yes, what is it, son?" Why don't you ask the aliens what you want?" "What do you mean, son?" "There's 3 of them just behind you at the window." So of course I turned around like that with the cameras and battered off the cameras. There was nothing there. He's clearly seen something, but he said there's nothing there. Let's see what I've got with this one. And so I said to Peter's mother, who was sitting adjacent in her chair, I says, "Can you see anything?" "Yeah." "What do you see?" "I see a shimmering, and I know if I look, I'll see these grey beings. I don't want to look, I just see a shimmering, that kind of shimmering heat haze effect you get on a warm summer's day." And so that was bizarre. Then on another occasion, Peter had his wee friend, he's 10 years of age, and they're playing in this bedroom here, and then suddenly, oh there it is, suddenly this, I know it sounds daft, this small grey being, so his wee pal, his 10-year-old pal was sitting next to him with her, "What's that out your window there?" And they saw this small grey creature. They were seeing a lot of UFOs in this vicinity, and it's a big case, it stands alone. And suddenly this wee guy just went whoop, straight up into there and was gone. Then one night, this is the farmhouse here, she was running a bath for her son. The mother was running a bath for her son. So wee Peter's upstairs in the bathroom, and she goes up, hold on. So she hears, Mom, come quick. And she threw the phone down, she was on the phone, runs into the bathroom. "What is it, son?" Now that's not her bathroom, it's just an example, just to give you a small grey being just stood there. He was just there and he just disappeared and he was gone. And this is again, so much about this case in Newton, Falkland near Fife, it's unbelievable. Then we're talking about aliens, and the A70 case, I'm not going to go into it, other than Gary and Collins saw this strange craft on the A70, big case. Some of you may have heard me talking about it before, but we're not here to talk about that bit. We're talking about Gary and Colin, admittedly under hypnotic regression, claimed to have seen these grey beings on board this craft, one of which came out of this substance on the craft floor. And I says, "Gary, you've drawn what appear to be like ribs, is that ribs? Possibly heavy folds of skin." Then telepathically it got in his brain, "Sanctuary," because he had asked him, "Why are you doing this to me? I'm nobody." And then they got sanctuary. This is a couple of drawings that Gary Woods did for SPI. He claimed he was naked on this raised table, these small grey beings, one of which appeared to be holding a pendulum-like device along. He says, "Malcolm, oh my God." It was like a hand was inside my belly and pulling all my entrails. It was horrible. And then he says, he started to tell me something, and he started, tell me, don't start, oh, you think I'm daft, tell me. He says, on the floor of this craft was this naked female, a teenager, and she had shaggy permed hair, and she had her knees up, as you can see, under her chin, and she had her arms over her knees, and she gently turned her head, and she had tears running down her face. He says, "Malcolm, I'll never forget her sad and forlorn face." I'm actually on time. I'm looking at this guy's clock. He's a big red one. So in summing up, wait a minute, I think there is. UFO abductions. Is it to create an alien hybrid species? Here's the what if scenario, right? Think about this. What if? Here we go. What would happen if we had open contact with an alien species? Does the government have protocols, right? Protocols regarding any first contact with an alien species? Are we truly aware of the implications of an ET presence on Earth, on religion? What would open disclosure do to the various churches of the world? Probably more alarming would be the use of alien technology falling into one country's hands. What country's going to get that? Would they then control the world? Would an alien civilization take over planet Earth? Would we be their slaves? Speculation. Would we be the slaves? And what about the impact on mankind, on their mental health? What would happen to the world's economy? These are all things, these are a what-if scenario. Would traditional industries start falling by the wayside? Would we be dealing with friendly aliens or aliens with a deceitful, covert agenda? And would their very presence on Earth give us a new pandemic with viruses that we can't control? Would the introduction of alien race be beneficial to human society? For instance, would they help mankind to move further to the stars? Would an alien race decimate the human species, decimate our culture, decimate what we as a human race have built up over the years since Earth was formed? What if one day, it's all speculation, what if one day this becomes reality? Are we prepared for it? All these what-if scenarios. Do we have an action plan, or will ignorance be our downfall as far as this goes? This is just a mock photograph, not real. If aliens truly landed on planet Earth, who would be the master race? Who would be the master race? Do the governments of this earth know more than they're letting on? Again. And if so, how long has a cover-up been going on? I know there is a cover-up going on. Christ almighty, I've spoken to enough people. So, we have UFO witnesses aplenty, and yet scientists are still looking into space. We have the Arecibo telescope looking at the stars, trying to get some signals. We have CSETI. I'm moving on quickly here because I've got things running out, but I'm almost there. So, in finishing up, it's been estimated that there are at least several thousand galaxies. Think about it. Each of which consists of billions of stars, some of which we are told are 13.2 billion years old. It's been estimated that there could be as many as 40 billion Earth-sized planets orbiting the habitable zones of sun-like stars within the Milky Way. 11 billion of these estimated planets may be orbiting sun-like stars. Ladies and gentlemen, don't bury your head in the sand. Yes, a lot of this stuff is nonsense. Yes, a lot of stuff sounds stupid and crazy, but not at all. I would not be on this stage if I didn't honestly believe that that mankind has been dealing with something since time immemorial. I believe in life after death. Why? Because I've spoken to so many clinical physicians and people, etc. The evidence is overwhelming that there is a continuity after physical material death, that we'll see our loved ones, our mums, our dads, our brothers, our sisters, when we go. So 45 years of asking questions, what have I learned? And that we're not alone. There are only 3 or 4 more slides, but all I want to say in closing, don't believe a word I've said. It's true to me. I've been researching this since 1979. I believe it. But it's up to you lovely people to go out and do your own research and find out yourself. It's like a big sieve. Get rid of the rubbish, right? Oh, can't get rid of that, because that's the truth. You're trying to go through this grid mesh. Got the rubbish there. Find out for yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Malcolm Robinson. Thank you very, very much for your
Excellent. Thank you very much, Malcolm. We'll have a short break of 5 minutes now while